What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Once again, got Justin with me. Justin, how's it going?
You just can't stay away. Can't stay away from me. No.
I just can't. I just keep following you wherever you go.
Yeah, I know. But I'm doing good. I'm excited. The Jets are playing today. But how you doing?
Pretty good. Another day, another show.
Yeah, another day, another show. Never a dull moment. Never a dull
No.
moment in the sports media world.
Nope.
Never a dull day in football. Football is officially back. So I'm very happy. I know you're very happy.
Yes.
Last time I was on here was when we were predicting all the games on Thursday, and I will tell you that I did get some of those right.
You did, so let's jump right in. The first game I was going to cover regardless, Justin did get correct. Lions-Chiefs kickoff. Justin predicted this one correctly. Lions win 21-20. So, let me ask you this, Justin. What were your takeaways from it? Takeaways week one, I feel like are kind of hard. It's the first game.
Yeah, it's the first week of every season in general for anything is always kind of new additions, trying to gel together, people being away from other teams for a while.
Got new players.
New players. But it's just, teams are constantly changing. Some people might not see that, especially in football, to where there could be 100 people on a roster and you just won't know. But there are people who are constantly being added. But this was one of those looks to where it was more. Now, don't get me wrong. The Lions played a great game, but this was more to me of the Chiefs just looking not great.
They really didn't. Obviously, they did not have Travis Kelce, who is the league's best tight end and one of just the best players in the entire league. They did not have their best player on defense.
Yeah, but
Chris
Mahomes
Jones
still looked great. Mahomes still looked really good. It's just that Kadarius Toney could not catch a football.
He had a lot. He had a bad drop that led directly to a pick six, right in his hands, hit off his hands, right into the hands of Brian Branch, the Lions safety, and he takes it the other way. He had a couple of really bad drops. He had one. Chiefs get the ball back late in that game. Mahomes was supposed to strike him probably 25 yards over the middle. That would have put them very close to field goal range, and he just completely dropped it. A couple of really bad drops, and just the Chiefs receivers overall had a lot of drops in that game. They just were not in sync with Mahomes really all game. Defensively, I thought the Chiefs actually looked pretty good. The Lions' offense isn't anything to sneeze at. Their offense is pretty dang good. They obviously, James Williams is out 6 games because of the gambling suspension. And, they have a new running back duo, and Dave Montgomery and Gibbs, I thought you could tell, all right, they're still trying to get their footing, but, Montgomery was kind of okay. Gibbs, I thought, had a couple of nice runs. I'm sure they're easing him in.
Yeah, I think they should have played him a little more.
Yeah, I get they're easing him in, and I do expect him to get more work as the year goes on. But, yeah, they could use him a little more, especially in the passing game.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown looked fantastic.
He looked really good.
I would watch out for him when Offensive Player of the Year starts to come around. Yeah. I think he has a shot of winning it better than anybody. Also, kudos to Dan Campbell for coaching a great game in prime time. We were talking about how he deserves Coach of the Year, and he's starting his campaign well. He's taken one out of my Madden 24 playbook, for people who don't know, unless I really have to, I don't give away I don't kick the football. The only time I kick the football is when I have to on a kickoff. I don't punt it. I go for fakes. I go for fakes on punts. I go for fakes on field goals. Now, most of the time they don't work, but when they do work, it's really funny because then the people quit. So on that 4th and 2, first drive of the game, on a 4th and 2 at your own 15, you call for a fake punt?
Yeah, the
dude's got balls of steel. You can't.
On his own 20, a fake punt on your own 20, that takes massive cojones.
I respect it. I'm all for it. I wish everyone did that. I wish everyone did the fake because it's just so funny. But yeah, in general, it was a great game.
Yes, it was.
It was a great game to start off the NFL season, and just quite frankly, it's also very refreshing to watch the Lions look good
Yeah.
because it's been a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. They got a football team this year. It's not the same Lions every year or a complete joke. They got a solid squad this year, and in
Yep.
a division that isn't that great, there's no reason why they shouldn't win that division. To me, it looks like they'll certainly be in the playoffs. And for the Chiefs, they better hope Travis Kelce gets healthy because their receiving core is very young.
Well, this is what I was telling you on Thursday. They either start off 7-0 and then lose in the AFC Championship, or they start off 4-2 and they end up going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
The
Chiefs. They've been known. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I think I may have mentioned this on Thursday. They've had some slow starts.
They have it's always
They
like
have.
week 1 through 5 to where they just temporarily forget how to play football.
I think it was like a year or two ago. I think it was 2 years ago. They were like 3-4, I think, and like people were like, "What is wrong with this team?" And Mahomes was having some turnover issues, and just they had the worst defense in football. And then eventually their defense started to click a little better, and then Pat
And then
Mahomes
Mahomes remembered what football was.
he didn't have to try and win the game on every play, and then led to us turnovers, and then they got that from there they won like six or seven in a row, and then all the concerns kind of went away. Yeah, they ended up losing to Cincinnati in the conference championship. Yeah, they've last couple of years they've haven't started out actually super fantastic.
Yeah, but when they do, but they end up making up for it when it matters most. So
Right?
that's really
Yeah,
all that
it's
matters.
been
I wouldn't look at this game and say, "Oh, Chiefs are over."
yeah.
It's just not happening.
No, yeah, and if Chris Jones, that's one thing. He might sit out half the season if he doesn't get a contract, because then if he sits out any more than that, his season wouldn't count. But like if Kelsey comes back next like this up for week 2, there's no reason they can. I don't know who they're playing, but there's no reason they can get back in the win
I think they'll
column.
be fine.
Yeah, and I look, I have said that I do like the receiving core. I think it's underrated, but it's really young. Tony, it's his first full year of a team. He's only been in the league a couple of years. Rasheed Rice is a rookie. Justin Ross is basically a rookie. He didn't play his first 2 years because of all the injuries. You got Scantling's like the only vet there, and even he's not even 30 years old. So I do think the receiving core will eventually give the Chiefs something, but I do think it's going to take time, which is why they really need Travis Kelce back, because Mahomes, well, apart from that's his go-to guy, he's the only like true vet that truly really knows their system. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of newer guys there, and just younger receivers there that I think are very talented. They got a lot of speed, but it may take a little time for them to gel because of their youth and just
Yeah, I agree.
and because of that.
There's really not much to say about it. It's the NFL's back.
Yeah,
We're so back.
Yes, I will say I love Andy Reid, but his decision to go for like 4th and 20 and like his own 30, I would have punted.
I would have punted as well.
Lions have a good offense, but Chiefs defense to me had played well enough where they could have gotten the stop.
The
And
problem is they couldn't. That's where I'm gonna have to disagree with you just a little bit because they had so many weapons to where it was just almost impossible to stop them. Like it's like okay, so you look at some of the biggest threats on the field that game. It was Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it was Jahmyr Gibbs, and then this rookie Sam Laporta.
yeah, tight end, he
It was
was
one of
very
those
good.
things to where if I was the Chiefs defense, especially their secondary, I wouldn't know who to cover.
No.
Who do you cover at that point? Because he'll either throw it off to Sam Laporta, will give you 8 yards. You throw it over to Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot. You hand it off to Jahmyr Gibbs. Nothing is going to they. I just don't. I just thought it would have been difficult to find an answer with that.
It would have been, but also if they found a way to get a stop, we've seen Patrick Mahomes score. Remember, they were only down by one, so only needed a field goal. And Mahomes was able to do that in 13 seconds. So even if they got the ball back with no timeouts and not a lot of time, I would I'm not sure if what happened last night because he didn't have Kelsey, and clearly the Chiefs were just off the whole night. They had a lot of drop issues, mainly Kadarius Toney. But I probably would have punted it and taken the chance as opposed to trying, for a 4th and 20, something from your own 30, because now you give the ball back to the Lions, who now can basically almost run out the clock.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that game. Obviously, there was a lot of other games. Browns blew the Bengals out of the water, 24-3 Browns. As a Joe Burrow fantasy owner, especially since I was playing this guy, I was not happy. It's not looking great for tonight. Unless Tyler Conklin does very well for the Jets tonight, but he's like the 4th option in the offense. So, and he has Al Lazard, who's higher on the totem pole, so it's not looking promising.
I don't think people understand
But yeah,
how happy I am about this.
Yeah.
So myself and Jake and the rest of people in our townhouse, among other people, the people who've seen this with Ashton and Liam, who are on here sometimes, we're in a Dynasty fantasy group, and one day, now here's the thing, I am horrible at fantasy football. Every single person that I draft in fantasy football is cursed in some way, shape, and form. The biggest one was Henry Ruggs. I drafted Henry Ruggs, and I didn't realize that he was going to get arrested for manslaughter. I mean, how was I supposed to predict that?
Exactly.
I drafted Derrick Henry one time, and he fell off. I drafted Jonathan Taylor, and he just completely fell off horrendously when I did that. Yeah. It's like every person I get is cursed. So I snapped, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to trade all my players. I'm going to get a bunch of draft picks. I have 29 draft picks over the next 3 years. Yes, I have 29 draft picks. The draft next year is going to be 30 picks, and I have 9. I am going to be doing a third of the 2024 draft. And I am projected to average every game 86 points. So if I beat somebody who is not doing that, it is very funny. Because and my team name is Sam Presti. For those who don't know, Sam Presti is the Oklahoma City Thunder general manager who has 35 draft picks over the next 10 years.
Yeah, so Justin has a lot of draft picks. Also, the Bengals looked awful.
No, not the Bengals. Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow did not look good yet, and Jamar Chase didn't really do anything. Jamar Chase called them elves, and then lost. It seems that these AFC North, whenever an AFC North receiver calls up the Browns and calls them some weird name, it doesn't really work out.
No, like with the Steelers last year, 2 years ago, they got blown out in a playoff game. That was so. But no, this was bad. This was bad, especially since Joe Burrow was coming off an extension, making him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that, and then you can't be signing that kind of extension and then having 82 passing yards in a game against the Browns, no less. Like they should have destroyed the Browns. It wasn't even close. Deshaun Watson did not play that well.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. I watched that game. Some of his throws, he overthrew, he underthrew. He threw a horrendous pick in the third quarter. This dumb crossbody straight into the Bengals secondary. Like you need to win that. You just have to. I blame this fully on Joe Burrow. I just don't know who else you can blame.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like the Browns this year. I think they're a good team. I do think Deshaun Watson has a good year. We all know they can run the football, and their team is definitely a lot better. They added pieces on the outside for Watson. They added a lot of pieces to their defense. I believe defense, which really struggled last year, will be a lot better. But just this ugly look for the Bengals playing a division rival that might be their toughest competition this year. There are some people you could argue that the Browns are as good, if not better, than the Ravens. I actually don't think that's that far off. Like the Browns, their ceiling might be better than the Ravens possibly could be. So, but to lose by 3 touchdowns and just put up 3 points, a team that's known for having an explosive offense, you got one of the league's best quarterbacks. You have probably the best receiving core in the league, and just one of the overall best offenses in the league. You added Orlando Brown to fix the offensive line, and the first game you come out and do that against a division rival.
Can't do that. Can't happen.
In a brutally tough division.
It just can't happen.
You're like you said, you can't do it. That's not a good look.
No, not at all.
It's really not. As good as the Browns looked, as promising of a sign as it was for the Cleveland Browns, the Bengals, it looked ugly.
Yeah, what do I see on the docket for next game?
So,
is this what I think it is? Is this what I think it is?
It is the Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. The Buccaneers picked up the win, 20-17.
What did I tell you on this podcast, Jake? I told you for some dumb reason, Baker just decides to wake up at any time and beat a team that he shouldn't. He just does it. This was horrendous. This game should not have even been close. I can't believe it. I just can't. I hate that. I mean, who do you point the finger? It's not Justin Jefferson. It's not even. I don't think you say Kirk. I just think that this is one of those situations where I just think the team didn't mesh.
No.
They just didn't gel. But once again, as usual, Sean Tucker owns your bum ass franchise. Imagine not picking up Sean Tucker after losing Dalvin Cook. That is an absolute horrendous situation. So I'm giving the player of the game to Sean Tucker because he got me 3 whole fantasy points, which is more than DeAndre Swift did yesterday. So I should have started.
Oh yeah, he didn't play.
No, DeAndre Swift did play.
Oh, he did.
It was Rashad Penny that didn't play.
Oh, it was Penny. Yeah,
it was Penny. So I am happy that I was correct about Baker Mayfield. And I am very pleased with the performance that Sean Tucker put on. But also, Vikings, get your shit together, or else I'm not going to be very happy.
Yeah.
And no one wants me to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think the Vikings might be in for a long year, honestly. I don't want to, like I said, it's tough to take anything away from week 1. There could be teams that look awful in week 1, and they could be in the playoffs. There could be teams that look really good and could be really bad. Week 1, it's tough to take anything away. It's only the first week. But just, I'm not expecting really anything from them. I don't see the team winning more than 8 games. They won 10 games. They had 10 games where they in 1-score games, they had 10 wins. Just by the law of whatever you call it, physics, algebra, math, whatever you want to call it. Law of averages, I think, is probably the correct term. Going like 10-1 or whatever they were.
Law of averages.
Yeah, that's just almost impossible to do again. Like, could they go like 7-5? Yeah, but they won 13 games last year. So if they lose 3 less games, that gives them 10. I think the team is significantly worse. Like, you cut an 1,100-yard back in Dalvin Cook. You cut Adam Thielen, who had 70 catches last year and has been there a very long time, and been at least a consistent producer in some form for a very long time. You cut the trades. Darius Smith
got rid of Jalen Reagor.
Jalen Reagor, I'm like
the ultimate piece.
Jalen Reagor.
The true missing piece was Jalen Reagor.
Jalen Reagor. It's funny that him and Josh Jefferson ended up on the same team.
Yep.
That's
funny. After the Eagles drafted Jalen Reagor,
and then the Vikings, because that was the
COVID draft.
So like it was like they were basically all like Zoom. Like the Vikings were like laughing, like, oh, okay, we'll take Justin Jefferson. Yep. Yeah, like they traded Darius Smith, who's one of their best pass rushers. They lost a lot. And for a team that just was not going to be nearly as good as they were last year, even if they kept the pieces, now they lose a bunch of pieces, it might be a long year.
Absolutely.
They're saving graces. They're not in a great division.
Yep. All right. I'll see you on the team, Caleb Williams. It's over.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're in that sweepstakes. It might be a little harsh, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. All right. So is that Titans Saints I see?
So Justin picked this game to be a tie. The Saints won by 1 point. So you were actually very close.
I was very close. That's the thing. I'm losing my touch. But I don't want to talk about this game. I don't want to talk about this game. It was a mid. It was an absolute middle. This is one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life. Ryan Tannehill can't throw a football. Derek Carr looked fine, but even still, can we just skip? Can we skip? I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about.
Let's move on. 49ers Steelers.
We did say the 49ers were going to win, but it should have been closer than this. Kenny Pickett did not look good at all. In his second, everybody says this. First year, you get a pass. Second year, you need to show some improvement to get to your third year, which is ultimately your time to prove yourself as a good quarterback that can succeed in the NFL. There are people like Zach Wilson who will absolutely horrendously underperform in their second year and just prove then and there that they're not an NFL caliber quarterback. And I'm not saying that right now about Kenny Pickett for week 1, but he just looked awful. Absolutely awful.
Looked really bad. And Brock Purdy looked very good. They obviously got a loaded offense over there, a loaded team, but
a loaded defense too.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And the Steelers almost look like they haven't practiced since it looked like
this would have never happened at Heinz Field. That's all I'm saying.
It looked like to me they decided to not have training camp or something. They looked just really out of sync.
They did look really bad.
And I think this shows that Matt Canada staying on his offensive coordinator was just pathetically stupid.
Yeah, it is. But somehow Mike Tomlin will not let them go 8-9. No, 9-8 is where it is. I'm starting to feel that Mike Tomlin is basically the coaching version of Russell Westbrook. Just stat padding his career, not really caring about the long term. Because if you were a coach and you really cared about the direction of the team, I don't agree with tanking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with tanking, but you wouldn't be consistently satisfied with having a 9-8 record, 10-7.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you should be okay. If you make it to the playoffs, then you be satisfied.
Right.
But you're not. You're losing the division, but because you have a positive record, basically your legacy continues forward, which is just not right.
Yeah, it just look, I love Mike Tomlin. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I mean,
so do I, but
he has never had a losing season. And he's been ahead. This is his 16th year in the league, but they've just been they won the Super Bowl in 2009 or something. Or 2008 or something.
It's been a while.
Yeah, ever since then, there haven't been that many years where they've been a true contender.
Yeah, the last time was probably 2-3 years ago, and they get decimated by the Browns in the first round.
Yeah, they had that year. They started off 10-0, and then they lose 5 of 6, and then they get, like you said, decimated in the first round. You had a year. It was the year of the Jesse James game. That year, people on in being if it wasn't for that controversial play, they may have beaten the Patriots in the regular season. So if they face him in the conference championship, which looked likely, they could beat him in the Super Bowl, and then they lose in the second round to the Jaguars. That was 2017. That was the Saxonville team.
Saxonville was really
good.
That year.
So they came up short that year, and then besides that, they've had a couple wild card berths, but they've been. For a team that's, extremely historic, they've won 6 Super Bowls. They've been very mediocre for a good while. They've only had, when it comes to even winning 10 or more than 10 games, only happened a couple of times, really, since they won the Super Bowl. And we're pushing probably 15 years since that.
Yeah, it's just, at some point, something needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not good enough anymore to be 9-8. It's just not. I don't understand. We're about to next year, based off who's going to be eligible for the draft, is going to be very offensively heavy.
Yes.
It's going to be some very good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
that are coming out, start headlining with Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a lot of good receivers and a
Marvin
lot of good
Harrison.
running backs that are going to be coming out of it. And I just think it's time to where if you're not going to draft a quarterback, draft a wide receiver. Get something to at least help Kenny Pickett a little bit more, and maybe he can prove people wrong.
Yeah, like, look, I'm not a huge Pickett guy. I wasn't high on him coming out. There's just nothing about him that really impresses me.
No, he didn't wow me.
But obviously it's still early in his career. But I just don't get why Matt Canada is still employed after what you saw last year. I know, like I'm not sure if this went to Tomlin's process. You know it is tough as a young quarterback to have like going into like a different system every single year, and having a different offensive coordinator every single. By the way, Justin Ashton is walking by over there. Our Ashton, he's
a student ambassador, but they're now called Pioneer Guides.
Yeah.
So essentially, he tours the campus for people and kind of shows it off, and he's essentially a very underpaid real estate agent.
Yes, very underpaid. Considering, I don't think does he make money for that?
I believe it's a stipend, but I didn't get the information about it.
All right, we can ask him later. Considering he does live with us.
Where? No.
Where? Yeah. So I just wanted to shout Ashton since we saw him through this giant glass window over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't understand, like, as bad as he was last year, how he was able to be brought back. Like I said, I know it is tough for a young quarterback to be in, like, having like multiple coordinators or this early in their career. That being said, if the guy isn't cutting it, he's not cutting it, and
No, I'm gonna give him one more year because that's only fair. I think 3 years is fair. He's not the good thing. The thing that's saving him is that he has not had any issues off the field.
No,
he doesn't have a character issue like Zach Wilson had.
Yeah,
to where you're okay if their second year shopping for a new quarterback.
Yeah, like he to this point he hasn't been bad. To the point, but like unless he probably gets next year, unless he's like bad to the point where it's like, whoa, this is hopeless. And also because like the thing with Zach Wilson, not only was he just pathetically bad, like he was even worse in his rookie year, and he wasn't good in his rookie year. Yeah. The Jets actually had a good team.
Yeah, and one other thing, real quick, and this is me too. We should maybe let off the reins just a little bit on the Steelers for this game, especially because they were playing a really good team week one. I mean, this is not some mid-level team. Like, if they were playing the Bears and they lost, then this is where the conversation comes in. But for now, we should just take it like it is and just say it was a tough loss, but some things do need to change.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the Packers and the Bears. Packers win 38-20, just lit them up. And Jordan Love, who I'm very low on, actually looked really good.
He did. There we go. That's what I was trying to say all along. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I knew this kid was going to be good because I wasn't. I'm not. I had because no one would know, but he had his shot. He needed a shot. Aaron Rodgers being gone gives him that opportunity for his career start, and to put up that performance in not just a division rival, but against one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL, if not ever.
Yeah.
And doing it at Soldier Field, which is not their home field for people who don't know that.
That's it.
That's
home of the Bears.
Yeah, that's a huge win.
Oh yeah.
That is an absolutely huge win. But someone that I was wrong on, Justin Fields, you are no longer a part of the Justin Club. You are no longer a part of it.
Yeah,
it is Justin Herbert, Justin Tucker, Justin Jefferson, the kid that one, I think it's like Justin something on the Heat. He's like undrafted, but he can hit threes, so that's fine. Oh. And then me. There we go.
And then me.
And Justin Timberlake. So there we go.
Yeah, Fields didn't look great, I do think the Bears, they got a lot better, but people are hyping them up. They can go worst to first. I don't think it's the year. I think they're a year or two away. And I like Fields. I always have. And I'm buying in. I'm definitely, I am predicting that he has a nice year. But
But this is not the start.
My prediction is off to a very bad start.
Yeah,
Because
because this is the year. It's the third year, as we were just talking about. This is the year to where you need to prove that you are good enough to be an NFL caliber quarterback. Because it is. Because people might not realize this, but every professional sports league is more exclusive than people think.
Yep.
It is. I mean, you can lose your job in seconds if you don't perform.
Yeah.
And it is a performance-based job.
Absolutely.
So if he's not showing up, this is the first game I know, but he's got another 16 games to change. But if you ask me, I'm giving him another 6 weeks. He has got to show me something in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's unfair. All I'm asking is for half the season.
Yeah, if by mid-season he still hasn't made strides for throwing the football, we need to make a conversation of, okay,
we need to start a dialogue.
We going to start a dialogue and have a conversation about this guy. Although he was a star at Ohio State and a lot of people are high on him, he might just not be the guy.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Packers, their roster is actually really good.
Their roster is good. I'm really happy with what they have there. This is just a nice fresh start for them. They could even. I don't think they win their division. I still think that's the Lions. Right. But with the Vikings not having a good win, not having a loss like that against with the with the Lions. Fuck me. With the Vikings having problems against the Buccaneers. And the Bears just not looking good. The Packers could be a wild card team.
Absolutely, I think if Love
and the NFC just being mid.
Yeah, if Love goes out there and is not as bad as we think, if he goes out there and plays well, the Packers I think could absolutely probably are a playoff team.
And he played really smart as well. So I remember. So there was a play to where I forgot the tight end's name. I'm gonna lose my mind.
On the Bears?
On the Packers.
Is it Musgrave?
It wasn't. It might have been Musgrave that he threw it to. But there was a play to where it was a bad snap. So it's like really low. So it's a fumble. He picks it up, and then just has the vision to just throw it right to an open tight end, probably 20 yards deep, and then ends up throwing a really nice dime to Romeo Doubs for a touchdown, which we saw on Red Zone. And it just looked really impressive. It looks like he did pick up some tips from Aaron Rodgers, because the guy's a little crazy. But if you need someone to teach you how to throw a football, Aaron Rodgers ain't a bad mentor to have and to sit behind for 4 years.
Yeah, and that's a good point you bring up. My dad I talked to my dad last night, and he said that he watched the game, and he said there's a couple things that Love did that kind of looked like the way he threw the ball and just like his style of play almost looked like similar to Aaron Rodgers. Like you could tell like he sat behind Rodgers and he picked up a thing or two. Yeah, and speaking of like their receiver, like Romeo Doubs, before he got hurt last year, was actually looking pretty good. And
he was.
And he I think had 2 touchdowns yesterday. And this kid Jayden Reed, I think, is a kid that is flying under the radar. Was not a super high pick, but kid at Michigan State who's pretty good. If their team is really, really young, but if this young team can take a step forward, Packers could be a playoff team.
Absolutely.
All right, we won't talk about this game too much because it's kind of a mid-off, but Raiders-Broncos. So
Broncos country, let's cry.
Raiders won 17-16.
Nothing else to say. I'm just gonna say Jacoby Myers had a great game. Not just in fantasy, he did have a great game. He is currently in concussion protocol, which I get. Better be safe than sorry. But they just had a great game. I know the loss of Jerry Jeudy was a huge hit for the Broncos, but still, this is. I expected the Raiders to win this game, no problem. I don't think Sean Payton's coaching is going to be enough to fix this team, because I just don't. I think it's just beyond repair.
I agree, and I've been very agitated by all these people thinking they're gonna bring Sean Payton out of retirement. Payton's a great coach, no doubt about it. He was
greatest Saints coach ever.
Yep, he was there for like 14, 15, whatever. Won a Super Bowl. He's a great coach. They think he's just gonna wave a magic wand and throw a Band-Aid on this.
It's not Dion. It's not Dion.
It's not. Yeah, they're acting. If it's like Dion going to Colorado, like it's not like that. It's Peyton's not this like all-time great former player. He didn't obviously in college, you recruit and the coach is almost basically the GM in a sense.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Peyton obviously can't do that. Like the roster, all right, they revamped the offensive line, but Russell Wilson is still there. The receiving core is still there. The defense, which was not a problem last year, outside of a couple new offensive linemen, the team is basically the same team that was atrocious
It is,
last
and
year.
it's still the offense that's the problem. It's the biggest
Yeah.
problem, and I like Jerry Jeudy a lot. I don't think he's the problem. I think it's Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Russ did look pretty good, but first of all, he played the Raiders. The Raiders couldn't stop at a stop sign.
No, they couldn't.
Their defense is terrible.
Their defense is terrible.
And they lost. People are trying to pretend that Sean Payton's gonna come in and he's gonna wave a magic wand. He's gonna be like Thanos, snap his fingers, and the team is just gonna magically go from a shouldn't even be in the NFL, should be freaking relegated to the ZFL, to just being a playoff team. No, they are at best the third best team in their division. They're not on the same.
And they, so I'm gonna say is this. They're so what I'm hearing is this. They're a top 4 team in their division. They sure ain't 4.
Top 4 team. I think the Raiders are worse than them, but I don't know. My computer with the score on it says otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, this team, they're not even in the same solar system as the Chiefs. I think the Chargers are better than them. I don't think it's that close. Are they better than the Raiders? Probably. But first of all, they just lost to the Raiders. And second of all, that's not saying the Raiders suck. The team, I don't expect them to do much of anything. Will they win more than 4 games? Okay, maybe. But I don't know if I don't see them being. I don't see a world where they're not below 500.
Oh, absolutely not. Is that Chargers Dolphins there?
Yeah. So Dolphins.
Right, I'm gonna start this one off.
Yes. Please do.
But you address
36-34 Dolphins.
Yeah. Okay. Great game,
Mm-hmm.
but Dolphins fans, in the kindest and most PG-13 way possible, or most R-rated way possible, because this podcast is once again not for kids. I've heard that is not for kids. Dolphins fans, I mean this as the nicest way possible, as a friend to all NFL supporters, as somebody who is a co-host of the show, for those a guest for the day. Shut the fuck up. Please shut the fuck up. I can't with these Dolphins fans, man. They're going to look at this game. This is a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get a big head. They shouldn't get a big head about it. Let's all remember when last year the Dolphins started 5-0, ended up horrendously falling apart after that. The Chargers, the most consistent piece on the entire Chargers roster is the medical tent. Everyone except Justin Herbert always gets hurt.
Yep.
With the amount of pieces that Justin Herbert has lost in that game, this game shouldn't have even been close.
Yeah.
I would take it for what it is. A win's a win. Celebrate your win. I'll give you your flowers for that. But I wouldn't look at this game and say, "Oh, division's over, season's over." We already know who the favorite is.
Yeah.
Because what's really gonna be telling is once week 8 hits, we'll then really see who's the bottom feeders. And I'm telling you right now, it might just end up being the Dolphins.
Yeah, Tua looked really good. He threw for 469 yards.
Yeah, but he also had Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill he had 215 yards receiving. So Hill Hill had a big game. It was a great game. Dolphins pick up a win, but yeah, last year, like you said, Tua looked like an actual quarterback. Last year they got to a hot start, and then then they started to regress. And then Tua had the injury concerns. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens there. So let's talk about Eagles Patriots. Eagles win 25-20. Patriots had a comeback at the end, fell a little short.
Okay, so there's a lot more to unpack about this game than people think. We have 2 Patriots fans in the townhouse, so we were kind of forced to watch this game.
Yeah.
But that's okay. The let's start off with this. The Eagles defense looked good.
Yes.
They looked really good, really scary. I wouldn't want to play against that.
No.
So that's good on them. The Patriots looked okay. Patriots fans are saying that Mac played good, and that's okay. The person I really want to talk about is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts did not have a game to where he should be getting paid 50 something 60 million a year. It just I mean the fact that they're lucky that the Patriots didn't come back, because if they did, Jalen Hurts would be under a lot more fire than I'm putting him on right now.
Yeah.
So but all in all, fine game. Just a lot that needs to be worked on the Jalen Hurts end of things, and also, just don't throw the football to Kendrick Bourne anymore, Mac. Don't throw it to.
He did have 2 touchdowns, but he also had some drops. So
He also had some drops,
bag.
and he had a pick as well, because that went through his hands. He should have caught it, went through his hand, and got picked off by Darius Slay for a pick 6.
Yeah, I thought the Patriots defense looked very good. I thought Mac looked all right. He looked better, but the Patriots receivers also had some drops. And, like Juju is new, but the rest of that receiving core was there last year. So the droppers were a little concerning to me.
Yeah, and the other thing with Mac, and this is not because I'm a Jet fan, it's because it's true. He looked good in the pocket. He's got to scramble a little bit though. A line can only do so much, but we're now at a point to where just having the pocket is not good enough anymore.
Yeah, he's never been a mobile quarterback, but he made he in college he was able to make a play if like here or there.
Yeah, with his legs, and that's all they're asking. That's all I'm looking for. That's all I'm sure most people are looking for. They're not saying be Lamar, be Justin Fields, be Jalen Hurts, be Mahomes, be Josh Allen, to where you can make a play with your legs. You can have plays designed to where you run the football. All I'm saying is use your legs a bit, so then it becomes a 3rd and 8 and not a 3rd and 25.
Yeah, he needs to move a little bit more in the pocket, but Eagles won that game. And so Rams beat the Seahawks 30-13.
There's not much to say about that.
Not much. I'm very surprised.
We were wrong, but Gino was mid. Gino's mid. That's okay. There's really just not much to say about that. That was kind of, I don't know, on the day that we had kind of a little bit of a lackluster game, just kind of one that I'm just going to kind of brush off a little bit. Sorry, Seahawks fans. But, it's...
All right, and this is how we're going to close out the show. Cowboys Giants.
All right, so I guess I'm owed the story to tell. So I'm sure I'll send this to my family later because I'm gonna mention this. But before we left to go to the podcast suite, I get a voicemail from my grandfather, who has been a Giants fan for the 85 years he's been on this earth, and he sends me a voicemail, and he says to me, and one of the things he says to me is this: "It's gonna be a long season for my Giants." And you and I were just laughing because it's true. It's so that is the sound of a passionate Giants fan, of somebody who knows that because I'm not because he's seen them all. He's seen the Phil Simms era. He's seen the Lawrence Taylor. He's seen the Lawrence Taylor era. He's seen the Eli Manning era and everything in between. So he would know. So this is somebody who has watched the rise and fall of their team, and knows that there's a problem. And losing 40-0 to the Cowboys after giving Daniel Jones that kind of money, there's only one way I can describe it: pathetic.
Yeah.
That is the only word to describe it. The only reason why there is even a shot of you beating me in fantasy this week is because Daniel Jones had -1 points on the day, -1 fantasy points, and that's not why I'm mad at him. I'm annoyed at him for that, but it's also because the Giants, I thought they were better than this. I did.
Mhm.
I thought the front office was better than this. I thought Joe Schoen would have been smart enough to realize to realize that a quarterback who threw for 1,500 yards and threw, I don't know, what was it, 15 touchdowns in a
Mhm.
season. I thought I thought he would have been different, but no. There was just a little bit of some chromosome of Gettleman in that front office that he just discovered and decided to give Daniel Jones $40 million a year. Are we kidding? Can't do anything with that at that point. What you're basically saying is this is your guy. You're gonna give him $40 million to put up to put up two fumble losses and some picks. Pathetic.
Yeah, the Giants just looked awful. So you cannot do that. It's prime time, Sunday Night Football. Giants Cowboys are always on Sunday Night Football every year. It's pretty often week 1.
And Thanksgiving.
Yep, and so you're in prime time, Sunday night, playing a division rival. You got a lot of hype coming into the year, coming off, your first playoff berth in however many years. You won a playoff game
Oh, is
last
someone requesting the mic?
They are not, but we got Sean in here who's listening. Shout out to Sean. He's been on the mic before. Shout out to Sean who's in the Twitter space right now. But Giants, they looked awful. Daniel Jones looked horrendous. He's always struggled in prime time, but my God, he looked awful. He couldn't play for my high school team last night, and my high school football team is not good. He has looked terrible. Isaiah Hodgins is supposed to be stepping up, 1 catch and a fumble loss. Are you kidding me?
Okay, I'm not putting Hodgins under the
No,
light as much as Daniel Jones. Also, Daniel Jones could have probably targeted him more.
Yeah,
he's the best receiver there. I'm not throwing it to Sterling Shepard because I don't know what I'm getting from him.
Yeah, and just the offensive line looked awful. Like, Jones was sacked 7 times. Defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. I mean, this is on everyone. Definitely on Daniel Jones for just looking pathetically awful. This is on just the entire team. The offensive line looked awful. Bad. And they just look unprepared.
And the defense looked no better. Kayvon Thibodeau, Mr. Shit Talker. He didn't have that good of a game either.
Yeah, and even Brian Daboll, who I love and I think is a phenomenal coach. He was coach of the year last year for a reason. See, you up that's what you prepared them for. 40-0 against a division rival. Were they at MetLife?
They were at MetLife.
At
MetLife.
So playing a division rival under the bright lights at home, and you did that.
Yeah,
40-0.
Yeah, it was like a college game.
It literally was. They looked like a college team.
Yeah.
In fact, there might have been some college teams that would have beaten them last night.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, in my career in Madden, I am on the Giants. I picked out random, and I was drafted to the Giants. Maybe I should suit up.
You probably would have done better than Daniel Jones. That was horrible.
That was horrible. And also, I'm gonna say the same thing to Cowboys fans as I said to Dolphins fans in the nicest way possible, as a supporter of all, as a friend to all NFL fans, and as somebody who is a guest on the show. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
please.
I'm sure Cowboys fans
please,
are all in their
this is
bag
how
right
it starts.
now.
This is our year. We're going to the Super Bowl. No, you're not.
Yeah,
you're not going to the Super Bowl.
You're in the first round.
I mean, this is one of those games to where it was more of the Giants looking awful, than the Cowboys looking good.
I mean, and
it's the same thing I said about the Dolphins with the Cowboys. Take your win. It was a deserved win because of how bad the Giants played, but don't look at this as the highlight as how the rest of the season is going to go, because if they do think that way, I'm fear they're going to be up for a rude awakening, or they're just going to be Cowboys fans.
Yeah, that was absolutely embarrassing. It was pathetic, and they better make significant changes, otherwise it's going to be a long year. It'll be back to the drawing board, and that Daniel Jones contract might look really bad.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Pretty much.
All right, Justin. I think that's all I got for you today.
Let's go.
Thank you for joining me as always, and next time, so long. Have a great day.